never really cared about social media or anything. And then all of a sudden I blew up. I remember at one point, a bad post for me was 500,000 views.
If TikTok disappeared off the earth tomorrow, where does the attention go?
I think initially Instagram and YouTube, but I think other platforms will get dispersed as well. Snapchat has...
I don't think anyone takes Snapchat seriously. You went from physical therapy to now you are training in the gym, working with people. Is that in person, that online?
It's online coaching.
Okay,
and it's more of a guide of how to structure, your diet, and then how to structure your workout program. And then, we meet, throughout the week. If you have questions, I'm there to answer, guide you through your journey of whatever that is to you.
Good morning, Delaware. And today's guest is one that got me excited because it's 2,372 miles in the making. Over 3 million followers and 4.5 years of knowing this individual only digitally. You're going to get to see and hear our very first conversation in person, and we're going to walk through his social media stardom that rose through COVID. So you may recognize this person, and if you don't, it's only probably because you were able to stay off TikTok during 2020 and 2021. Good for you. People like myself, though, got connected with John and others like Kevin, Ryan, we mentioned throughout this podcast, and we discussed what it was like to go through that social media rise out of nowhere and trying to keep the family strong and growing, how to also bring money to the table, all while staying away from the mental trap that can come with all of the views and engagement in the social media realm. We dive into all of that. We finish off with a topic that all of you will understand and probably take liking to, his move into Delaware and what he has liked, what he has disliked, and how he's kind of felt the Lewis crowd has felt towards him as he entered into the area. You get all that and some more. My good friend John, who went through a name change. You can find him at BeingJustJohn on all socials, and you can find him on TikTok, and that's where we met. And you're really going to enjoy this conversation. Make sure to like, subscribe, and do whatever you're doing on this social media platform. Whatever. Have a great day. Looking forward to it. Got John, formerly known as Beer Bong John, now known as BeingJustJohn, and we're just saying now that makes a terrible hoodie because BJJ is really a very owned trademark by Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah,
and you don't want to get them mad. Because they're really good at fighting.
Get my ass kicked.
You don't fight at all?
No. I went once and I completely got destroyed. And the reason why I kind of went into physical therapy is because I'm someone who constantly injures myself doing just stupid things. And so I got in there so I could know how to fix myself.
I think I have the stupidest injury though. I think we'll have to get into that, but I might. Yeah, it's a pretty dumb injury. I broke my leg over the summer.
Really?
Yeah, I had a dog that ran through it. See, exactly. Okay, it's pretty dumb. So back into you though. So talk to me real quick. A lot of people do you, Beer Bong John, TikTok, Instagram. If they don't, they'll find you there. Quite a few followers, but you made the transition from that.
Yes.
Really, not just a name. It was your brand. Still is your brand. Right. What you are now. Why the shift to Being Just John?
So when I first started off on social media, I didn't think it was going to blow up. But my name not really my name, but like a funny nickname I got when I went to Arizona State was Beer Bong John, because hence I would hit the beer bong a lot. I did do a story time on why I went by the name Beer Bong John originally, because I thought it would just be funny to get on, online and go by that name.
Exactly. You get a TikTok originally, 2019,
2019. It was like right when it switched from Musical.ly.
So that was October. Yeah. I had downloaded it that December, deleted it because I was like, this shit's dumb. Again, downloaded in February, did the same thing. I think I started in April. So I was like 5 or 6 months behind you.
I started May. I downloaded it in May of 2019, and then I started posting in June. And because I actually used to do Vine, and
nice, I didn't know that.
I always told myself if I would have gotten on Vine at the right time, I would have been Vine famous, because the week I got on Vine was the week Instagram allowed 15-second videos.
So the competition had arrived.
Yeah. And I still got up to 80,000 followers on Vine, which was a lot back then. It's still a lot.
That's funny. How do you feel about them? So to echo that, I was deployed when Vine was out. And I made a bunch of videos, and I never posted any of them. And I felt the same thing. And I didn't post them because of operational security. there are people who got in trouble all the time for saying something, showing something, talking about something they shouldn't in a deployed environment.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you don't want to, exactly. It's a worldwide app. Like, you don't want to just throw anything out there. And so I kept it to myself, but I thought the same thing. How do you feel about the thought of them bringing Vine back?
If it's going to be longer than 6-second videos, good. But if it's not, then it's just not going to work.
You don't think, wasn't it long? Didn't it get to like 10 or 15 seconds by the end of Vine?
Maybe in the last couple months.
I thought toward the end, late. And maybe it was too late.
Well, because all the Viners jumped ship because they were demanding like $1 million a year salaries or something like that. Oh. And then they've all basically said, well, if you're not going to pay us, we're just not going to post.
That's
and then
fair.
That was the end of Vine.
Yeah.
Because that was basically what they had going for
them. There was no monetization for the creators.
No, there was none back then. None.
Heard.
And
now, though, that sustainable source of monetization has really come from these social medias like TikTok, and we can get into that ban and going back and forth, but actually creating pools of money that is divvied out to creators based off of their engagement is pretty much the model at this point. Do you see that being the model that is followed for a while for how creators have to make money?
In terms of for views?
Well, so right now, like TikTok, the way they have it set up, and I think Instagram just launched another monetization, is, based off however many views you get. I think with TikTok, if it's over a minute long view.
Right. So they used to have the original creator program where it was basically off of your total views or whatever. Now it is based off of it's counted views or something like that.
Yeah, verified views or something like that.
Yeah, it has to be over a minute long though, and that's strictly to compete with YouTube.
Yeah,
I believe.
No, we had this conversation with somebody else the other day. That's 100% what I think is happening. Yeah. They're going after and trying, because they're also doing big stuff on SEO, like search engine.
Yeah.
There's how many times, I don't know, I might be the only one. Have you ever gone somewhere like I went to San Diego. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what to do in San Diego. And so I go to Google and I'm like, things to do, what's there to do, best food around me. Like, and it just felt like every answer was paid for to be there.
Right.
Like based off SEO or these ranking systems or TripAdvisor, which by the way, they're paying to be on those things, like all these different places. So I go to TikTok and I plug that in. And all of a sudden I'm filled with a bunch of real world results, real reviews, and I think TikTok now is pushing more toward trying to be the search option.
Reviews were a massive thing about a year ago. Reviews were a massive thing they were pushing about a year ago. I even was starting to do reviews because you would get more views because they were trying to dip into that Google pool. So I don't know if you read today or it was yesterday.
No.
Google for the first time since I think 2014, they went negative in terms of people using Google as a search engine, and Bing actually went up, and they don't really have the results from TikTok. But the reason why, Google anything, what do you see first? The ads, the paid
promotions,
the people that are paying to be there.
Yeah,
that's not real.
It's not what people want.
No, and I think it's the CEO of Google right now was actually the CEO of Yahoo during Yahoo's downfall. So if you think of it from that perspective, because he got in, I think in 2019, and that's when they really prioritized the ads because we need to make money for our investors, which totally understand. But now the shift is coming. People are like, hey, I have to scroll an entire page to get through ads to even find anything. And then there's also something like Google may be censoring some things. I don't really. I don't know.
They do. They've said it. Yeah, they absolutely do.
So people don't want that. And basically they're going to other search engines because of that.
And I think people realize a TikTok right now puts engagement at the forefront. I've had this conversation several times of why it's such a good algorithm. You know it. It gets thrown in front of a bunch of random people at first.
Yeah.
And their engagement, their likes, their comments, their watch time, their shares, whatever engagement it is, gets pumped into this algorithm, determines whether or not they should show it to more people.
Right.
And if it doesn't perform, it's because it's not good.
Right.
And so it's such a great platform because like for things like SEO, if I'm typing in things to do in X area, I'm going to get 10 results that are verified by my own peers pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's what people want, I feel, because like what you're saying, it's all this promotion, it's all the ads.
Yeah.
How does TikTok take more? How do they take more brand share away from the almighty Google?
One, they have to be able to stick around. that's going to be
you think it'll be gone?
I think it's the strongest possibility. I think the lawsuits will extend it. I mean, I don't really know the legality of it. I don't know how legal it was to put it in that structure. I have no idea.
Oh, in the bill that also had all the $94 billion going overseas. Yeah, that's kind of odd.
Yeah,
super.
So and it's really frustrating from that perspective. But a lot of lawyers have come out saying, "Hey, this is illegal. This is infringement of freedom of speech because TikTok has abided by everything the United States said, but they did pass it in a bill. So I have no idea what's going to come from it." But everyone has to kind of be prepared. So I am starting to try to go to separate platforms and things like that to grow just in case. And that's something I regret doing because I always just had TikTok. I only shouted out Instagram maybe 4 or 5 times and I got to 500,000 followers.
That's incredible.
That was like the peak of my hype. Right. And then I just thought to myself, I tried YouTube for a little bit and the longer form and editing and all that, where I'm just used to filming from my phone, posting and getting, and it being very successful with it, where I thought, well, I don't really want to do all that extra work. And then I never went to Facebook, never went to other platforms. And now I'm like, shit, like, damn it. I probably should have, but
where do you think the attention goes? If TikTok disappeared off the earth tomorrow, where does the attention go?
I think initially Instagram and YouTube, but I think other platforms will get dispersed as well. Snapchat has come, it's like a different way because it's purely based off stories. No one really watches their spotlight.
I don't think anyone takes Snapchat seriously.
No, but for a quick picture or whatever, you can monetize that and whatnot if you have the star and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so that's what draws a lot of creators. Like I think David Dobrik, apparently YouTube had never paid him out.
Really?
And so he went to Snapchat and he's saying he's making over 10 million a year just from the views from Snapchat.
That's incredible.
Because every so many seconds is an ad.
I've heard between Snapchat and Pinterest, those are currently like the highest paying platforms.
Pinterest was insane because they were paying for clicks. If someone just clicked on something, you were getting like 25 cents, 30 cents, or 50 cents.
Jeez.
Apparently, I have no idea. I don't really.
No, I heard I'm not either. But for the Shopify shops and the crafties out there, I mean, I heard some people, because they had to put a cap on it at one point of how much they could make, because it was probably based off that model of just like, I need to create a click farm for cute crafts.
Right. Again, it's because people also did that. And back in the day, there were some greedy people that kind of ruined it for everyone.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that's just what happens.
Which brings back to the conversation of like, where's the long term for the creator in this world? We see a spot where inflation and AI and affordability, they all are in this intertangled web that makes the younger generation maybe feel like there's less opportunity or different opportunities that I'm going to need to pursue in 10, 20 years. Maybe my parents didn't.
So my original thought was always every content creator has a shelf life.
Okay.
Where, you have your moment and it goes away, right? However, it depends on the creator's ability to adapt.
Yeah.
Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Absolutely.
You can only do the same funny skit until it's not funny anymore. So you have to adapt.
Yeah.
And so it just depends. So whether, David Dobrik has been able to shift. Obviously, he was massive, and then everything happened, and then that happened. But look at Logan Paul. Logan Paul was on top of the world, came crashing down, and then now he's built up, and now and then it's been a constant thing. And so it really just depends on your ability to adapt and also not get burnt out, which is very easy to happen. It's happened to me.
How do you feel about the people that just are kind of leaning towards getting out of the creator world, like deciding this isn't for me?
So that's kind of funny you brought that up, because this is the second podcast I have filmed, and the last one I did was me announcing I am leaving social media, which was never posted because I'm obviously still on it.
Interesting. So you did a podcast with somebody else and announced I'm getting off social media. What made you want to say that originally?
I put my self-worth into the numbers, which was something a lot of content creators suffer with.
It's a poison.
I never really cared about, social media or anything. And then all of a sudden I blew up and I lost my business at the start of the pandemic. So I went all in on social media. I never was able to essentially process losing my business, everything I was working years and years to build, which was a physical therapy practice. We were opening a physical therapy practice and gym in one. And we were like this close in February before lockdown. We were this close to signing a lease. Man. Thank God we did.
Yeah.
Because we would have filed bankruptcy, but everything crumbled. And then our investors at the time pulled out and everything, rightfully so. And then I didn't have a job because I couldn't get a job in physical therapy because every clinic is basically shutting down. No surgeries are being performed. And if I didn't have social media, I don't know what I would have done. But basically that was my escape from reality at that time. That was like my creative outlet. And then it became my work. And I just really went all in. And then all of a sudden I'm getting attention I never had in my life. You know, I was the single guy on TikTok, which is kind of funny because growing up, I was always the guy in a relationship. So, but when I finally said, okay, I really need to take time to myself for a couple of years and whatnot. And then I, explained, we were story time tellers when we first got on, and I still kind of am.
You're good at it.
Yeah. And I try to be, and you were really good at it too.
Appreciate that.
And so I just told stories about my dating history because that's what I was hyper fixating on in my life at the time. And because it was something I didn't really process yet. And so I used TikTok as like a platform for me to kind of laugh away the trauma.
Yeah.
And it was great for that for a while, but then I started getting this attention I never got from people, and it was something I never experienced before. And then from Vine, it was something I really wanted at the time. So it was like old feelings came up, and I was gaining, I remember at one point a bad post for me was 500,000 views, which is great.
Yeah.
That is great if you really think about it.
It's incredible. Yeah.
But at the time I was getting, 400 or 300,000 views, and I'm like, you suck. Like I was looking at myself in the mirror and being like, you suck, you're horrible. And then, I got up to 3.1 million followers, and then it just stopped. And it was also right when I shaved my beard. And so, but it was also the start of like the shift of trying to be like the new me. Cause I got a beard because I hated the way I looked, cause I couldn't stand that person. And so I tried creating a new person, the guy who was always in a relationship. Wow. And, I went through a lot of therapy, so which is why I was able to kind of, understand what I did.
But you were able to bring yourself out in a way that was vulnerable, and you projected in a way, like you said, it was laughing away the pain, but like you brought people in with you on it. And that's something that a lot of people I feel have those messages and have those ways, because it's not always just going on and like you could have just been like, hi, I'm single. I'm like, you brought your real life into story. You let people like have a window in.
Yeah. And then I overshared. I really let people into my every aspect.
So there wasn't a window and it was like, hey, come on in.
Well, there's no separation of
it's
like
tough.
Basically social media was my reality. And then when you start getting negative comments, you're like, oh, that's my reality. And so
isn't it funny how you can get 10,000 positive comments and then
so
you get
stupid.
one is like, yo, your nose looks weird. And you're like, damn, does my nose look weird? It's like you said 10,000 people say this is great, and you're only focused on user 189673882.
Yeah, it's so wild that's the way some people I know
it's the way my brain works. Yeah,
absolutely. And I wasn't. I used to just have like the fucking mentality, and then I just somewhere along the line I just started letting it get to me, and then as the followers stopped rolling in, I started thinking less of myself. Then you see the followers leave, and then that was like kind of a spiral. And I was like, you know what? I need to leave social media. But there was a lot more that kind of went into it and whatnot. And I wanted to go back to like a regular 9 to 5. And then I realized I hate a regular 9 to 5. I was like, this is horrible having, I'm someone that I need someone telling me what to do, but not necessarily a boss. Like I need like, say, a manager
guidance,
who gives
leadership.
Me yeah, exactly. And so, and that's actually what my fiance is for me now. Not necessarily a manager. She was for a while, but it's just sort of separating work from home. Kind of
your partner and guiding through life.
Yeah. And so, and she's great at it. And so now, the problem with me, I barely post now. I was posting 3 to 6 times a day, and that's where the burnout came. And then now I'm lucky if I post 3 times a week.
it is a different feel. I think also, there's a couple of things you brought up that I want to bring back. So you brought up the plateau in followers. I've been on a regression, kind of a purposeful regression, because for me, I switched from an audience that was anywhere. 8% of my following, 10% of my following was in Australia. Wow. Yeah, it was weird. I think I had to do timing in my posts. But when it came down to it, my world, what I was, making money doing, and it's not about the money, but we need money to survive. And as we know, like inflation nowadays, we need a lot more of it. But I was selling homes. Mm-hmm. And I found myself looking in the mirror too of like saying, okay, where is the end game?
Right.
And it was generating engagement and generating views and generating people who, knew who I was. I had made a couple of videos that referenced you, and somebody recognized me in our Walmart. I remember it was back in the day. I was like, no, it's like, are you on TikTok? Like, you're this guy. I'm like, whoa, wait, do you think I'm who? I am on TikTok, but not that guy. But it's crazy how the environment shifted so quickly. The world of the influencer popped up so fast. And as you already stated, like so many people had to adapt. I don't even think we can really take in how many people just stopped, because like you just said, like people just stop posting. They don't make these big announcements. They just fall off. And I think a lot of it has to do with two things you just said: the burnout and looking themselves in the mirror and being able to have their own value on themselves that isn't coming from the comment section, isn't coming from how good your analytics look, and all while creating a world that's still making you money so this can still be your job.
Exactly.
Is a tough triangle to do, right?
It is. Especially when you're a content creator strictly getting money from views and then potential brand deals.
Yeah.
Because then you have to be brand friendly, and brands don't like the things you say. Then you have to watch what you say. And it's just like a vicious cycle. And then you lose yourself even more because you're not just being your genuine self.
Do you see yourself on the content creation side for the longevity?
Yeah. I to some degree. I don't think I'll ever be as much as I was at that one point where I was posting 6 times a day, every aspect of my life, everything that I was doing. I don't really want that. But I have thought about, incorporating more of like aspects of Tori and Mai's life, not only for just content wise, but for actual memories. Because we don't really take a lot of pictures together. We don't record stuff. We live in the moment, which is great. Okay. But I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, where the guy's wife they get in a car accident. The guy's wife loses her memory for the last couple of years, and she doesn't know who.
It's just like re-fall in love with him or something like that.
I believe it's with Channing Tatum and the girl that was from The Notebook.
I believe you.
Yeah, but I don't know. But that's the premise of the movie, and I thought to myself, if that ever happened to me and she didn't know who I was, I wouldn't be able to prove that we were actually in a fucking relationship.
Oh damn!
except for our proposal, and she'd be like, I don't know.
Man.
So
that's a crazy way of looking at it.
So now I'm just like, I need this proof.
Yeah.
But
it's funny you say that, because my daughter now, 5.5, I was looking through the other day some of the posts I'd made, and I was like, because we use a specific hashtag whenever any of our family posts about her. And so when I clicked it in, I was like, oh, we have this timeline of like her growing up.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I didn't think about that way originally, because I don't post about her too much, especially these days, because now I'm starting to get, I don't know, I'm kind of in, kind of out.
That's kind of why we don't post about it.
It's one of those things, like if something funny happens and she's involved in it, but there's never been a time where I purposely gone out and said, man, I need to get a picture with my daughter and my family online, because, man, there's just like the AI and the weirdness with the voice cloning, and it's just, man, but at this point, it's out there. So, like, should I care?
My voice is out there.
Yeah.
So
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, we got no shot. People are being scammed by us right now. Yeah. Unfortunately, I have still scam bots on TikTok, man. They won't give me the check. You don't have the check either, right?
Nope.
Why?
Originally, it was because of my username.
Really? Because of the beer bong thing?
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, and so we found out how to apply for it, which was supposed to be kept a secret. And because we got so many people to apply and get it, they actually changed how you got it now. And I didn't want to change my name during my hype, obviously. And
my application got denied because my articles about me online had nothing to do with what I was creating about on social. It didn't match up.
So back when you applied, you didn't have to have a article or anything.
Really?
It was basically just follower based. Yeah, when everyone was getting them,
man,
and that's when it became a whole thing about me not. But I launched some merch for a bit saying not verified and whatnot, and I made some money off it. So
it was worth it in the end, then. So the long term plan, as we were talking about earlier, is right now you're training. You went from physical therapy to now you are training in the gym, working with people. Yep. Now, is that in person, that online? Because I know you have a big following, so I assume online.
It's online coaching. Okay, and it's more of a guide of how to structure, your diet, and then how to structure your workout program, and then we meet, throughout the week. If you have questions, I'm there to answer. And I love that. Guide you through your journey of whatever that is to you.
Is there like I said, like a group chat, Discord, something where everyone's together, or is it one-on-one?
It's one-on-one. So there's an app you download on your phone, and then you can directly message me.
Cool.
And then I always respond within 4 to 8 hours. And then also for people that have injuries, I teamed up with my old business partner who's a doctor of physical therapy. And so anyone that has previous injuries, we can collectively get together once a month to make adjustments to your program, or, because that's my bread and butter.
Yeah, because your background's physical therapy.
Right. And so the reason why my business was to open up a physical therapy practice in Gym and One is something lacking here in America is, okay, once you're done with physical therapy, then what? Yeah, you're not magically able to go back to exactly what you were doing.
Sure.
Because in most physical therapy clinics, they don't have a bench press, they don't have a squat rack, power rack or anything. And so then you're kind of left blind in that transitionary period of, hey, you can hurt yourself again and you don't know what to do. We were going to be that gap.
I completely feel that. When I broke my leg over the summer, when I got back on my feet and then inevitably back into the gym, when I got, I remember it was January, under a squat rack, I was like, oh, my body just feels different. I don't know how to do this. And it took me months to get the normal amount of weight I was used to back on my back, purely just because my body felt and moved a little differently.
Right.
I didn't have that guidance.
Mm-hmm. And so what we do is we know how to get you back. And so, or, if you have a lot of, past medical issues, we're aware of how to treat that, because that's literally what we were trained to do. Whereas, I'm not to knock other, personal trainers or anything, but there's a difference when you have a certificate to a degree. You can do a lot more self-education. And so there are trainers who are, they know what they're talking about. But when you're dealing with other issues, whether it's PCOS or MS, things like that, we know how to structure your program to cater to that.
I love that. That's the long term, right?
Yes.
That's the career. That's what's being built. What are the goals there? What's that going to be in a year, 2 years, 3 years?
Well, I'm building out a team, and it's basically based off of the next coach who I'm bringing on. He also learned under my mentor, Ashton.
You got multiple coaches with you?
So not yet, just one I'm bringing on. And we both learned under my mentor, Ashton, who's a world-renowned physical therapist. Ashton Tyree.
Okay.
And just genius. He was going to med school, at first he was going to be an engineer, and then he got accepted into med school, but he just didn't want to do the length of time. And so he went in to be a doctor of physical therapy because he was like, I'm still technically a doctor, but it's not as much schooling. But he's, just really, really intelligent, and how good of a physical therapist he was. When we had our business, we almost got a deal with the NFL to be one of the clinics that rehab the players in the off season.
Wow.
So it was going to be based out of Florida, because we brought back 2 higher profile athletes back from injuries that were considered career ending, and they were not performing. They were elite level. When the cameras are off, I'll tell you who it was. But, so we were about to get that, but in order to get that, we have to have our own clinic. And then the pandemic happened. So, it was never my intention to do social media full time. I just got
But this is now the avenue to where you can keep. You talked about pivoting, you pivoted so that you can keep the physical therapy world rolling, because now you're able to not have to have a brick and mortar. You're doing it online. It's mixed in with a plan that you also said a big thing, diet, because all the things we're doing in the gym doesn't matter if we're not eating right. And I know I had to make that transition, or else I was never going to lose any weight.
Yeah. And there's different things of like, so it's like recommended meals. It's something you can follow or not, you know, because we're not, you know, dietitians and we're not nutritionists, but this is just to give you an idea of what you possibly should eat. And then there's certain things that, you know, if you have PCOS, you shouldn't have red meat. And then you should limit the amount of, you know, carbohydrates that you have, because you could have insulin resistance and things like that. And so there's ways to structure your diet to cater to you, and everyone is different.
Everyone is different. You used to watch that show on Netflix. Sean was telling me about the show on Netflix about the microbiomes and just the different. Yeah, I saw a little preview when I got on Netflix, but just talking about the fiber intake and fasting and different things to go into your gut health. And for me, and man, even when I say it, I know scientifically there's no real straight up connection except by this whole microbiome thing, is that actual fasting for me, going into intermittent fasting and getting my gut better, weight just started falling off. Even though I was still eating the same amount, it was just from 12 to 8. Yeah. And then in that 16-hour time when my body actually was empty and things could repair and do their stuff, between that and working out, it finally started to work. But I feel a lot of people aren't willing to or able to or stick to a diet. And then
it's hard.
Do you see that as the strongest point of contention when working with people?
With a lot of my clients, it's, well, a lot of them don't have anyone supporting them. They don't feel like they have anyone in their corner. And so they hire a coach to be that support.
The person in the corner.
And you know, one of the hardest things is staying motivated. But what a lot of them don't realize is it's impossible to stay motivated 100% of the time. What has to take its place is discipline.
Well, yeah, the discipline has to take its place. I agree there. I also think different pillars of motivation can help too. I think you yourself are a pillar of motivation for, like, I'll put myself on blast. I'm a people pleaser. If I hire somebody to be at the gym or hire someone to do something and I say I'm going to do something, I don't want to make them mad that I didn't do the thing I told them I was going to do.
Right. But there also has to be reframing. You have to do it for yourself and not someone else.
Yes. The reframing eventually does have to happen. Absolutely. But it's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard when there's no one in your corner. And I think you, and that initial jolt that can be given by a out of them form of motivation. It doesn't have to come from within right away, because it's so hard when you're laying around, maybe hurt, 50 pounds overweight, used to be in shape. You're like, maybe one day I'll get back there.
Living in the past.
Exactly. Stuff, oh my God. Yeah. I think we all do that to an extent with our bodies. Like, I remember my deployment body, but I was able to work out twice a day and eat 4,000 calories.
How old are you now?
30.
Yeah, I'm 35. And so now I'm noticing things are slowing down. Yeah. I mean, I'm on TRT. Okay. And so basically, and that's why my hair, I don't know, when I first got on TikTok, I at least, you know, I buzzed on the sides, but I had longer hair. But that was when I first started TRT. And now it's just going back. And now I'm even contemplating getting like the hair transplant. Really? I thought about it, but I know. Back? Yeah. But I hear you. I know for a month, you can't wear a hat. And I don't. So after you get the procedure, you can't wear a hat for like 1 to 2 months.
You're a good bald, man.
Thank you.
You're a good bald.
I'm a good bald.
Yeah, you are.
But the thing is, if you think of my content, I always wear hats. Yeah. And so I'm someone where I always wear a hat, and I'm like, can I go a whole month? Like, I'm going to go through withdrawals for not wearing a hat. But
I mean, if it's a part of the storyline, I don't know if it's part of the here's why aspect, you know that. You can always reframe. Right. I want to reframe to what a lot of people listen to this podcast for is Delaware. Yeah. And you're in Delaware now. And I think a lot of people starting off this podcast are like, wait, this is a Delaware guest only podcast. What's this guy doing here? This is cool. But you are in Delaware now. Yes. And your family was originally from Delaware, like you had said, or had time here.
Fiance.
Yeah, fiance. Yeah. So, I thought it was family. Fiance. That's awesome. I misheard that. How's your experience been in Delaware? Give me like the quick breakdown of someone who hadn't lived here prior, came from Arizona, west to east.
So ironically, the day we moved, or actually 2 weeks after we moved, when our movers delivered our furniture.
Yeah, we can exclude the movers from a review of Delaware.
But it was the first day snow stuck. The day we actually moved our furniture in. Gotcha. And so then we had to clean the floors.
That was like we had like 5 or 7 inches that day. Yep.
Yeah. And so it was just ironic that the one day that snow stuck was when our stuff came. So
that overall moving experience was
Oh God,
we don't gotta lower the vibe.
We won't. We won't go into it.
How's just the Delaware
love
transition?
It.
Really?
So it definitely fits my fiance and I's vibe. And the one thing is different when you go to a restaurant, because we live in like slower, lower. You know, we live in Lewis. Waiters really take their time. Coming back to you, we're used to LA or Arizona, Scottsdale, where turn and burn. Trying to get you in and out. Where now they're like, enjoy your time.
Yeah, good.
Just enjoy the ambiance. Hour, 15-minute dinner. They're like, hey, hurry up, you're taking my table.
I feel that. I was talking about San Diego earlier, and that's how it felt out there. It's like
they're trying to get you in and out.
35 minutes. We got more people waiting on that table.
Yeah, so that's something that's a little different.
That's a pro I've never really thought about. You don't get rushed out of restaurants.
Yeah, and the food actually is very good.
Super good.
The water quality is great compared to LA and Arizona.
Okay.
It's pretty gross. And also Florida. South Florida sucks because it's murky water.
Okay.
So the regular tap water is actually a lot better.
So you're talking about like the actual drinking water in Delaware compared. Okay, gotcha.
It does taste better.
Heard.
And so
I'm a fluoride nut, so I don't want anyone's tap water.
I don't get me wrong. I still have my filtered water.
There you go.
I even thought about getting a Berkey just because.
A Berkey?
Yeah, so it's something like you could put swamp water in there and it will come out
and
clean.
It cleans it. Yeah, I think I saw that guy on TikTok.
Yeah, and I thought about getting one just because there's stuff that that can get in our system just because of the corporations and stuff putting stuff in the water. But then you have to put your electrolytes back in, and then when you put electrolytes back in, you can put too much, and then the water tastes like crap.
Sure.
So I'm just like, do I really want that?
I hear you.
But
what has been the biggest? So in moving into Delaware with fresh eyes, what's been the first thing you're like, ooh, I love that?
So actually walking into stores and people talking to you, really nice. Like everyone's really welcoming for the most part. So ironically, my fiance and I, we lived in two of the rudest like states and cities in the nation.
So in Arizona, I get LA.
So Arizona's in the top 5 rudest states.
I think it's just because it's so hot, man. How can you? If it's 110, I'm not gonna be nice to people either.
But it's very cliquey because a lot of people there stay there, and so even with me, I found the friends I have are the friends I kept, for life, except for the ones I met in college.
Yeah.
But even them, I kind of lost touch with. But the people here are so nice. Like you go into Wawa, and the lady's like, "Oh, what's going on, baby?" And I'm like, "Oh, nothing. How are you?" And it's great. It's just I love it.
Gotta love Wawa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love Wawa is 100% a pro of moving to this area.
Yeah.
Did you have that down in Florida?
Florida, they started to.
Yeah.
They started build out Wawas.
They just were you there during that time or no?
Yeah, but I didn't see the hype until like now that I moved here. I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It's different.
So in terms of anybody in your area, what should they expect in Lewis? Because not a lot of people look at Lewis as they look at Rehoboth, for example.
Right.
A lot of people see the beaches and they kind of skip out on Lewis actually has a really nice downtown. Right. It's got really great restaurants. What has been your experience in Lewis?
Lewis downtown is great. Yeah. Like the restaurants are, like you said, it's great. And then even just the scenery, just walking around the downtown area, like there's like a little pier area where you can walk to. And it's just really nice, and it is definitely slower. But it feels like a small town, and it's just really welcoming. We haven't felt out of place. I will say, out of season, high retiree, area.
Yes, absolutely.
And then even in season, I'm sure there is. But the traffic is starting to get bad, and I'm sure at once school is officially out for everyone. I'm sure it'll be even worse at the beaches, and it's beautiful today. It's like 80 degrees today, so I'm sure a lot of people are going.
Yeah, we'll be there next Monday.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just really easy to travel when off season, but just knowing during summertime it's going to be a little bit busier, but the outlets are there. So we have good shopping, we got good meals, we have the beach, and then you even have the country going in. So there's a bunch of farmland, and you just kind of get it all, especially with 4 seasons.
That's the underrated thing that I don't think a lot of people talk about. Like the traffic comes up, like, oh, traffic's terrible, traffic's awful. It's going to be traffic. It's the beaches, and they're nice,
right?
But you have the option to just go the other way, and there's plenty of local things to do, and there's plenty of also like just go on Tuesday. Like, if you go there Saturday afternoon on an 85-degree day in the summer, it's probably gonna be trafficked.
And so during the summer, my fiance and I, we want to make it a point because we're closer to the beach, where we're going to drive to the beach and just go for like a walk and have our coffee or have our tea, whatever, and just kind of get out, get some fresh air, and then start our work day.
Heck yeah,
yeah.
Is that the main? Or I just want to ask, like, what other pros have you found? I mean, you're getting the walk on the beaches, you're getting the nice little downtown, you're getting the slower, lower, it's more relaxed.
Taxes.
Yeah, that's boring.
There's no sales tax.
No sales tax is pretty dope. That's fair.
And it's a very, there is a state income tax, but it's very low in comparison to others. And then for businesses, it's a very tax-friendly state too.
Do you see it being involved in your content at all?
Delaware, I thought about it. We're like exploring Delaware and things like that. It's just... It's one of those things. I created content with everything I went and did for so long. I don't like doing that anymore. And for me, I've always been shy filming in public.
Sure.
That's why I always filmed in my truck and told a story time, or was in my apartment or whatever. And so now I've never been the one to like really go out there. Like my biggest fear is being on influencers in the wild. Like look at this guy, you know, and so
those are some terrible videos.
Yeah. But at least I'm not dancing. Yeah, it'd be one thing if I was like 35.
Oh, dude, yeah. When the real estate people found out I was on TikTok, like, oh, you're dancing on TikTok. I'm like, no, I'm not dancing at all. There's no dancing happening at all, I promise.
Yeah.
It's funny how we just went through similar, because in 2019, nobody was on TikTok.
No.
There was nobody on TikTok. I remember it was late 2019, like December, and a buddy of mine, and I sat down and said, I got like 30,000 followers on this thing. Like, I think I'm going to go really hard on this. And no, summer 2019. And he's like, what is this? I said, TikTok. He said, oh, isn't that where all like the kids are dancing? I'm like, no, it's a very nice
So
app.
it started off like that because that's what musically was.
Yes.
And then fortunately it was, back to what we said about Vine. If I got on at the right time, I did. And I was like the only person telling story times about,
you know what? And the
like relationship stuff.
TikTok, exactly. No one was creating.
Right.
And I think TikTok is partially to thank for that. Because I don't know if you remember, 2019, they didn't have any branding or marketing campaigns. No. And then when it got into COVID, they launched all these like thirst trappy ads. It was it was people dancing. Do you remember that era of and they were trying to, and it was cringy, and like nobody serious wanted to see that ad and think, oh, I'm going to download that. And then they changed like over the summer of 2020. It was like something about getting connected. Well, and it was like, what a great brand move.
Well, their whole thing was building community.
Yes,
and
they
so
shifted,
like,
and it was a great shift.
And that's with like Kevin and I, Iron Sanctuary, where we had the whole beard off thing, and then Tyler, Fresh Prince of No-Hair, you obviously have to include him, and
Beard Gang Actual, wasn't he involved in something like that?
Beard Gang Actual, yeah. But so Tyler, he's actually a big reason that changed my life, because he called me out, Fresh Prince of No-Hair, to do the beard off. And then Kevin was kind of being a dick at first and being like, oh, you guys can't handle me. Like, I'll destroy you in this beard off and whatnot. And it was because we were kind of going like this whole wrestling promo
like
thing.
WWE,
and then it just turned into this whole community of us just like having fun one-upping each other. And the reason why I actually responded to Kevin was it's because of his wife, Brandy. So he was making a promo being like, you can't, like, you suck, your beard's so trash and all that. And she said, hey, stop, make one and actually be nice. And he was like, hey, and so he did. And at the end he said, hey, you seem kind of cool. Do you want to hang out sometime? And then I was like, all right, I'll respond to that. And then it became this whole thing. We were on the news, and then, TikTok promoted us because we were like this whole thing. And I went from 400,000 followers to 1 million followers in a month.
I think that grouping you guys had for a bit. I mean, and then who's youth pastor Ryan was in there for a bit. I've chatted with him quite a few times. I haven't met him though.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, Kevin and I have done some podcasts. But Kevin's another one because he owned a construction company.
He owned a
construction company, and then went full bull into content creation, and a completely different version of the content he was creating. He went into fitness. So that'd be terrifying. I want to talk to him about it when he's in Delaware.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I mean,
come to Delaware, Kevin.
He's doing something that he loves. Like his name was Iron Sanctuary because he loves the gym, and now he may not get the 20 million views that he used to get, but he's able to spend time with his family at home. He's able to raise his kids himself, and he's making a very good living,
making good money.
And so he's like,
you could see it from the density of what, because he's. So for those that don't know, I mean, go to an Iron Sanctuary profile and just scroll, and you'll get to the point where it is a lot of story times and skits and stuff between you guys.
Just crazy random ducks.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff going all over. And I feel all of us kind of felt like that. We were throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what would work, but it's taxing and it takes away from everyone around you. And it's kind of a necessity at the time because no one really had a blueprint for how to make it work.
Well, yeah, and when I moved to Washington, I was under the impression I was only going to be there for 3 months because his daughter was going to be born.
Yeah.
She wasn't born yet, and so I knew when his daughter was going to be born, things were going to change. Obviously, it's not just him and Brandy once he has his daughter, and then now he has his son, and so he needs to think, okay, what can I do to be able to give them a proper life? Not make content out of them, and whatnot, and just, he can include them if they want, but also do something that he loves and support his family. Because when he was in construction, he was telling me he was working 16 to 18-hour days, and which he was able to provide, but what's that going to be for his relationship with him and his kids? It's going to be very hard, and so now, yeah, he's doing bodybuilding. A lot of people maybe don't like the new content that he's making, but you got to think of it from his perspective. He's doing something that he loves and he's able to support his family. And yeah, he's maybe not getting the 20 million views he got.
And that's
for
not what matters. And we know that. We know that.
Exactly. And I think he found out a long time ago, like the views don't matter. Like
it's the views from the people that matter.
Yeah.
It's going back, like I sell homes in Delaware. The Australian audience, I mean, it's cool and all. Like if I ever make it to Sydney, like let's meet up. But it doesn't really affect my family. It doesn't really affect the fulfillment I have in my own life. It really is just a vanity metric.
Yeah.
And I think, because I don't know if there's any career niche that more cringily jumped full bowl into content creation than real estate agents and lenders. There's a lot.
Is there?
Oh, there's a lot. And I was one of the first ones to kind of jump in the pool and, figure out all the mistakes first. But there are a lot of people, and I think across all industries, that still look at the views, the shares, the comments as the win or the loss. And it's just not the case, because I can make a video that gets 300, 3,000 views. It's more effective in what its purpose is than the 3 million view videos. And I don't know about you. I could go viral this week if I really went after it. I know you could too.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult. Besides,
we know what we have to do
to
go viral. And it's one of those things. Do you really want that?
Do you want to?
Not
exactly.
Really.
If once you've done it, it's not that amazing.
And the
especially
thing is,
when there's nothing on the. It doesn't always have to be money. It could be a relationship. It could be a brand deal. It could be something that could further your career in some way, shape, or form. But sometimes and most times there's nothing.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said before, I put all my self-worth into it. And there was a quote from Mike Tyson that it really resonated for me. It was like, one of the worst things God can do is give you everything you ever wanted just to see if you could handle it. And then that's what happened to me. I got, I thought, I was like, I'll be happy when I get this many followers. I'll be happy, when this happens and that happens. And it all happened. I had fame, or whatever, if you want to call it that. I had a large following,
large notoriety.
I found my fiance, and I was so incredibly happy. But with her. But then I was like, I crumbled in that. Like it just, I couldn't handle the pressure of constantly being in the spotlight, and that's when I kind of spiraled about, because I put all my value in views, and I was like, I really need to stop. I need to stop doing that.
But it's so easy to do that because all these people, based off their engagement, are telling you that.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to get detached from your own self-worth.
Right.
And I can tell you, and you're saying the same thing, that when that happens, you don't see it coming, because all of a sudden the views start going down and you're like, angry, and you're like, how do I fix this? And then you're going harder and nothing's happening, and so you become more frustrated, and 100%, but you don't realize it when you're on the up. You're just like, oh, I feel great, this is awesome, this is amazing, this is cool, and then
I'm getting so much dopamine,
all the dopamine. There's so much serotonin in my blood, and that starts going away, and you're right. You have to come back to your own self-worth, your ability to stay in your own brain without having to scroll on the phone and check your DMs and see if the comments are filling back up, and That's a great way of putting it. Getting everything you've wanted just to find out if you want it, or to figure out, I know for me, if you even wanted it.
Yeah, that was a big thing. Because I thought I always told myself I'd be happy when I got to a destination. I got there and I wasn't happy. It's because you have to have joy, on the ride, in the process of it all. And that's something that I've learned, and that's something that I do enjoy now.
I see no better way to end than on that note. Where can people follow you nowadays, my friend?
So the TikTok is going to be around, Instagram.
For whenever this is being watched, currently TikTok 2024.
Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, and Facebook. We are going to be going on Facebook.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that. No OnlyFans yet? No, not in the future. If TikTok goes away, maybe that's where the attention goes. I happen to think I agree with you. Instagram, YouTube, but either way, you're the man. Appreciate you, dude. Man.